Tuesday, June 9th, 2020, the regular business meeting of Verona Borough Council. Let's stand for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America,
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call, Mr. Kenna.
So President McCarthy is still trying to get back in. Dr. Carpenter.
Present.
Mr. Forback.
Present.
Ms. Lualba. Ms. Lualba.
Present.
Okay. Mr. Matlin.
Present.
Ms. Provenza is also trying to get in. Mayor Recupero.
Here.
Mr. Suchovich is attending the parade for the seniors. Mr. Alexander's out. We have Mr. Zunick. Mr. Pitch.
Here.
I am also here.
Okay. Any registered comments from the public?
So there's no registered comments. However, Laura Jacko reached out to me today and would like to speak. So there's nothing on the agenda, but we can go to her.
Okay, so you're gonna,
You ready?
yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Laura.
Hi, can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Great. I hope no one can see me because I was working in my yard and it was 92, so it ain't pretty. I actually just had a quick something I needed to ask. So I have arranged for us to get some free watering supplies for the trees that were planted last year from Tree Vitalize. So it's gonna be like some watering buckets that can be placed by the trees so that they can be more easily watered. From what I understand, like the grounds crew would be able to just put water in the bucket and then it'll sort of more slowly over the course of a week water the trees so people don't have to worry about going out there all the time and checking on them quite as much. The fella from Tree Vitalize who has them is in Oakmont and he doesn't have like a large car to get them to us. I was wondering if I could work with somebody, maybe this would be Dave, because you're, I think, Department of Public Works person, or maybe not, maybe someone else, to see if I can get somebody over there with like a truck to pick them up and, you know, get the instructions to the groundskeepers for how to use them so that the trees can be watered over the summer because it's starting to get hot. So I don't know who's the best person to interact with regarding that, but that's, you know, on the plus side, I got some free stuff for us.
That'll be me. So if you can get to me and let me know when that's happening, I can arrange with AJ to have them bring a truck over to pick the stuff up.
Okay, yeah, the guy has them at his house right now, so it could literally be any day. So I can just, if email works, I can email you. You can let me know what day they can drop by and I'll just arrange it with him. I think that they're working from home right now, so yeah, that's, and he, like I said, he's in Oakmont, so he's probably a neighbor of yours.
Okay, that's fine.
So yeah, that's what I got for the trees.
All right.
And also, I didn't actually read the agenda for today. I don't know if it got sent out, or maybe it got sent out last minute. I don't know, I was watering my plants and stuff, but I just wanted to, if it's not gonna be on this agenda, maybe the next one, make sure that council is addressing some of the things that are going on in the world right now and, you know, making sure that we're providing an equitable space for people in Verona, because I know that Verona is a very diverse community, and I want to make sure that, you know, we're doing our best to make sure that everybody is, you know, included in Verona. And I don't just mean of like skin tones and races and things like that. I've also noticed there's like a lot of, you know, for example, handicapped people that are immigrants and things like that around here. It's one of the things I love about Verona. And I think that, you know, to play to our strengths, it might be something good to kind of look at and make sure we're being as inclusive as we can be of all the different people of all ages, races, and abilities that live in Verona. And I think that this seems like a good time to talk about it. So if you guys weren't going to talk about it, I would suggest that it might be something to think about. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, thanks, Laura. Let's let the record show that, well, I was gonna say that Pat has returned to the meeting and I was going to turn it over to him, but now he seems to have disappeared again. But Sylvia's here, and Sylvia, I don't know if you realize it, but you're muted, so we can't hear you. In terms of other comments from the public, I see that Dawn Wharf's hand is raised. There's Sylvia.
Okay, thank you for accepting my call. It's Rhoda Wharf, 636 3rd Street, Verona. I hope everyone's enjoying our wonderful hanging baskets, our flowers throughout the town. This past year, we were hoping to do several fundraisers, which, because due to the virus, we weren't able to. So I had mentioned before, if the council could graciously help fund us a little bit, maybe set an amount, because we did have that surplus of money from the recycling and what have you. So, and again, the beautification is for all of us in the town. And I'm hoping that perhaps you could make a decision about giving us a little donation to help us.
So I was thinking about making a motion about that. Do you guys want me to do that now or wait until it's time for my report?
And just to, reiterate what I was saying, we need like some money like for fertilizer, things of that nature, and it would really help us out. And again, we're willing to do fundraisers. It was just this year, just didn't pan out because of the virus. Hopefully that'll change, in the near future.
I think we should stick with the agenda and actually go through everybody's, do the comments now, and then if you want to make a motion during your time to speak.
All right, I'll do that. Thank you.
I appreciate anything and everything. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Rhoda.
Nancy,
Yeah.
I'm going to leave now because I just got a text stating that they're getting in their cars and ready to come into Verona. I will be back. I'm going down to the main drag. Unfortunately, the rest of us, can't. We were hoping to have a regular meeting down at the Borough Building and go out and honor this Riverview seniors in a caravan. But I will be back, so I'm going down and I'm going to leave right now.
Okay.
So
Thank you
be
for
back.
letting me know. So let's let the record state that Sylvia Provenza is here. The mayor is leaving and Pat McCarthy is still not here. Okay. Any other comments from the public? I don't see any hands raised.
No.
So we can go on to Jerry
Okay.
to give your report.
The meeting minutes from the last meeting were distributed via email. There were some corrections made, and we would need a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the workshop in May.
I'll make a motion to pass the meeting minutes.
I'll second that.
Nancy?
Oh, sorry. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Sorry about that, guys. This is my first time.
The bills payable, the checklist for May of 2020 was also distributed via email last week. We would need a motion to pay the bills.
I'll make the motion, pay the bills.
Second.
Okay, any questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Okay, special tax collector, special taxes report. For the month of May, we received $198,130.62 in real estate taxes for the current year, $11,492.48 in real estate taxes for delinquent real estate taxes, $1,793.40 in real estate transfer tax, and $29,160.22 in earned income taxes for the current year, $7,794.36 in local service taxes for the current year. Need a motion to accept the tax collector special taxes report.
I'll make the motion, Jerry.
Second.
Second, Janet.
Who seconded it? Janet?
Janet, any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, next.
The treasurer's report for May of 2020, we received $270,803.11 in deposits. We spent $112,751.15 for an ending balance on May 31st of $704,708.78.
Okay, great. So we need a motion to pass the treasurer's report.
I'll make a motion to pass the treasurer's report.
Second.
Who is that, Mike?
Yeah.
Hey, I have a question. Do we have any large outstanding bills at this point?
We paid, at the beginning of the month, we paid the Alcoasand bill, the quarterly Alcoasand bill. But other than that, no, we pay the bills as they come in.
Very good. All right. All those in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. I guess next is the police chief report.
Yeah, I distributed that to council today via email.
You want me to do it?
Yeah, do you have it handy?
Yeah. So total complaints received 101, total crimes 20, total crimes cleared 15, vehicle code summaries issued 11, fines collected $940 from magistrate, $10 from borough fines, police reports purchased $30, municipal fines $2.67, for total fines and fees collected $982.98.
All right, great, thank you. Need a motion to approve the police chief report?
I'll make a motion to approve the police chief report.
Okay, Janet,
Second.
Sylvia, thank you. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
So,
Okay,
the EMT report is not listed here, but Jamie's here. Do we want to have him give the?
that'd be lovely, yes, please.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Hope everybody's doing well.
Yes, sir.
March through May, so you're going to get 3 months report on one sheet. We had 26 advanced life support calls, 21 basic life support calls, 11 cancellations, 10 patient refusals, 7 lift assists, 3 fire standbys, 1 deceased on arrival, and 3 patient no contacts, with a grand total of 82 calls for the period of 3 months.
Okay, can I get a motion to pass the EMS report?
I'll make the motion to pass the EMS report.
I'll second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion passes.
So the one more thing I wanted to talk about, we've talked about, there were some questions at the last meeting regarding the financial impact of the coronavirus on the borough. I did run some numbers and want to report a little bit to that effect. So through May of 2019, our earned income taxes that we collected was about almost $169,000. As you can see on the report that I gave you for tonight's meeting, we only collected 109. So we're down about $60,000 in earned income taxes year to date. Local service taxes were also impacted. Last year we were at 28,000 at this point. This year we're at 24. So we're down about 4,000 there. So grand total, we've seen a drop in about $64,000 worth of revenue year to date. Now, whether that rebounds or not, I don't know. With the way the PPP loans are, that paycheck protection loan, it does incentivize some business owners to kind of bonus out employees because they have to use it by a certain day or they have to pay it back. So there is a possibility that that you're going to see a little bit of a spike to regain some of that. The funny thing is, and this happens from time to time, every year our real estate taxes are a little bit different in which months we collect the most. The funny thing is that last year through May, we collected $509,000 in real estate taxes. So far this year, we've collected 606. So we're up $95,000 or $96,000 in real estate taxes year to date. So that means that more people this year took advantage of the discount period. It also could be a sign that property values are continuing to go up in the community. Therefore, property taxes are going up. As some of you may know, Riverview School District, as soon as you purchase a home in these two towns, sends you a welcome to the community letter and they raise your taxes. So that could be a big part of it. I know that Casabella Apartments sold for a lot more money than they were being assessed for before. So we may start to see some increased revenue. Hold on, Pat just joined. Let me push him to a panelist. So right now we're actually okay revenue-wise. We've got the money in the account. We're not now. Whether or not this drops off, I don't know. We'll see what the rest of the year brings. But I know that people are starting to go back to work, and hopefully we're through this. So
Okay.
the fire whistles are passing my office, so I guess that's the parade.
Oh, yeah. All right, thanks. So is Pat here?
His box is here.
I see that. I want to hand over the meeting back to him if we can hear him or,
Oh,
oh, there we go. Oh,
you got him. Oh,
got him. Next on the agenda is the mayor's report, and he's not here, so we'll come back to that. So I guess, oh, Pat, you're here. You're muted. Hi, Pat.
He's frozen.
Can you unmute him, Jerry?
it looks like he's frozen. Hey, Pat, would you have better luck with your phone?
Yeah, it does look like he's frozen. So,
All right, so I guess we just keep moving. And
Yeah, so
David's
we'll-
not with us,
right.
so-
So, and then Pat is frozen, so he can't give his report, so we'll go to Matt.
Yes, thank you. I do see under the mayor's remarks, he had a mention of the Wildwood Road repairs. I spoke with the contractor today. We're going to be getting that scheduled here soon. He was finishing up another project and then going to be talking to me on scheduling. So we should be getting that on the books here soon. Just some of the other things going on. The First Street reconstruction, we're finalizing the plans and that should be going out to bid in about a week here. I've already talked to several contractors, including Holbein, that did Second Street for us. So I'm getting the interest drummed up on that, and hopefully we'll get quite a few bids on it. The CDBG from last year, 2019, all the projects are completed except the demos. We're still waiting on the county for those. With the COVID and everything, I don't have a time frame of when they're giving us the notice to proceed, but as soon as they do, we'll be ready to go. And with those CDBG projects, the repaving of the portion of Center Avenue was one of those projects. As I sent out in the email last week, and I believe Jerry sent a text, there was a water valve issue there, unfortunately. I have talked with the water authority and we have it worked out that whenever their paver comes in to do some of the other patches, instead of just doing that small area, we're going to be doing a full width patch. So we'll get that taken care of. I don't have an exact time frame on that, but I know they have some of the lower Verona patches already saw cut. So it should be within the next few weeks or so, but I'll keep everyone up to speed on that. The 2019 Second Street paving, that was completed. I do have the maintenance bond in hand, and I do have their invoice. It is in the amount of $120,911.60. I would just like a motion for approval of paying that invoice.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
This is a motion for $120,911. Okay.
And that is, it's for the Second Street paving. And Jerry and I have worked with PennDOT on that, and it's coming out of the Liquid Fuels Fund. So that isn't, correct me if I'm wrong, Jerry, but that doesn't come out of the general fund numbers. It's a separate account.
Correct. Did we vote for that? We got a first and a second. Did we vote?
No, I asked a question. Oh, sorry. Okay, so we have a first and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
The grant we have for Cribbs Field and the new pavilion, I just got the plumbing and electrical design finished up on that. We're finishing up a few details on the plans, and it will also be going out to bid here shortly. So we'll be getting bidders on that. I did receive a letter from Tom Benecki and the COG, the CD46 projects for year 2020. We received a $43,517 grant for additional sanitary lining along First Street. That's being done in conjunction with the First Street reconstruction to just double down and ensure everything's good in the area and we don't have any future sinkholes in new pavement. I did talk to the gas company and the water company. They don't have any planned projects in that area for a while, so we won't have any surprise projects other than if there's a break or something along those lines. And other than that, I met with AJ this past week. Some of those sidewalk slabs on Wildwood, especially by B&D Auto, they're very uneven and some of them are collapsing. That's all due in part because those sidewalk slabs are the lid or the roof for the culvert in that area. So after we finish the inspection up, it's a little bit better than what the other areas were. Sorry about that. So in these areas, the walls are in good shape, so we don't have to do any extensive repairs like we did at the 500 Wildwood repair. We just would have to basically replace the structural concrete on top. So I'm going to be putting together some numbers for that so we can discuss further and possibly bid that out in the future. Other than that, I heard back on the grant for the PA Small Water and Sewer. They're expecting sometime in September to announce the awards for those. So other than that, that's all I have unless there's questions.
Hey, Matt, the First Street sanitary lining, which block was that you said?
It would be from south to north.
Oh, okay.
Basically the same extent of the paving project.
Yeah, so that covers the area that Jerry and AJ and I were talking about a few weeks back, I think. Right, Jerry?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And then, Matt, were you looking into, or maybe this was Jerry, the yellow lines, getting yellow lines painted?
Yep.
Yeah, so I measured those up, and we're just waiting back from a couple contractors on quotes. I talked to AJ. We do have the equipment in-house, but there's been some pretty good prices out there lately. So we figured if we could get it for a good price, we wouldn't have to take the time away from our guys doing other stuff. So as soon as we get those numbers in, I'll talk it over with Jerry. I can forward them on to you, and we can make a decision then.
Okay. What is it? Center and second, and anything else?
So we were going to do right now. We were going to do center and second. We were going to go basically from where the new asphalt is on center all the way up to fourth, and just kind of refresh that line. And then I was going to talk it over with the contractor. We might paint the rest of the brick on second up to south, just so it's continuous. But that paint a lot of times doesn't stick too well to the brick. So we're going to weigh those options.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Matt.
Matt, I have a quick question. On Center Avenue, you're not starting down at the boulevard, are you, with the yellow lines?
We were going to start down by Eilers, where we just did the new asphalt there, and go all the way up the hill.
Wonderful, because that's so badly needed. I've had numerous people say that somebody's always coming over on their side of the road because they can't see the line. So that's great. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and when we get prices back too, we're going to look at the option. Typically, you put a double yellow line. I know Center right now only has a single yellow line.
Right.
There are areas where it's a little narrow when you have parking on both sides and two travel lanes. So we may just go with one single line. We'll see what the prices come in.
Okay, great. Appreciate that. Thanks, Matt.
Not a problem. And I just remembered one thing with the invoice that we approved. We had worked it out with Penn Hills. A portion of Second Street is in Penn Hills, as well as the island painting that was completed. So Jerry and I will be putting that together. I still have to finalize the calculation, but it's in the range of about $20,000 that Penn Hills is going to be reimbursing us.
That's excellent. So, thank you. Any other questions for Matt? Okay, so I'd like to let the record reflect that Mr. McCarthy is back with us, and I'd like to turn the meeting back over to you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Sorry about that. I still can't get my computer working right. Who's filling in for Mr. Alexander?
Mr. Zunick.
Mr. Zunick.
You're muted.
Go ahead.
You're muted.
I am?
No, Bob is.
No, Mr.
No,
Zunick.
Mr.
There we
Zunick is.
go.
Okay, can you hear
Okay.
me now?
We can hear you.
Okay, sorry.
Go ahead, Mr. Zunick.
Did you have a question?
No, do you have anything to report to us?
Mr. Alexander did not give me any detail in terms of issues outstanding. So I really don't have anything to report.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
So
Mr.
Pat,
Matt.
Pat,
ahead.
we skipped you. I didn't know if you had anything to report.
I'll come back. Let's go through. I'll come back. That's fine.
Okay.
Mr. Matlin.
Okay, thank you. I had one item. I think many people may have seen the notice that went out, or the update about garbage and recycling. We had a meeting, myself, Jerry, and Craig, with management and the attorney from County Hauling about a week and a half ago, to discuss some of the many issues that we've had, and try to get resolution for them. They are working to make some improvements. They did state that their phone system was recently updated, so that should be fully functional. I know there's been reports of people not being able to get through, or I mean, I've personally had issues, so we talked about that. And basically they want people to call if there's a missed pickup, if there's a complaint, if there's a billing issue, whatever it is. They're encouraging, and we're encouraging residents to put those complaints in, so that they're aware of them, and that if you have issues with getting through to them, or not being addressed, that you can send those to the borough office, basically to Marcia, either calling the borough office, or emailing at admin@veronaborough.org. So we're sending this information out so that people have the contact information, so that there's a single point of contact for County Hauling and for the borough. And we're going to continue to keep an eye on them and make sure that they're attending to the complaints and to the issues. So please, if you see something, like they say something. So that's about all I had on that. I did want to
While you're on that subject, I just wanted to give you an update. It happened this afternoon, didn't get a chance to call you. We did receive the security deposit. They sent us out, and I don't know if I forwarded them to you or yet or not. They sent us out an exception report and a tonnage report for May. So
okay.
They are working to be more they communicate more.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Jerry.
Yep.
The only other thing I had, I saw in the chat, there was a question about the lines, parking lines on streets. I know North Avenue was discussed. Matt, do you remember where that was left off?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Yeah, I just have to get with AJ and finalize the locations of the lines. We wanted to take a look at where maybe hydrants and things like that were to create the parking lines on, especially north. There's a couple areas of ARB that we're looking at lining as well, especially in front of the post office, to try to help some of the traffic flow around the signal there. So now that we got the better weather, it's just a matter of me meeting with AJ, so that should get moving here.
Okay, so our crews are still going to be doing it.
Yeah, they have the equipment, and doing lines is pretty easy for them. It's just doing anything that's really long. It's tough with their equipment to get it anywhere near straight. But I do believe that they just painted all the borough parking lot lines before the voting. So it's something that they can easily do.
Okay, thanks.
So can I ask a question about that, please?
Sure.
What streets precisely are we going to put the parking lines on? Because I think there was some discussion about putting them around the block, basically Center, East Railroad, South as well.
I know North had come up for sure. Center, East Railroad, and South wouldn't be a bad idea. That's some of the more heavily parked areas. It might help people park a little more uniformly. So that's something that we can definitely look into.
Okay. Well, it's come up several times. That's why I wanted to bring it up. Thank you.
Okay. The other thing, there was a question at the last meeting about the temporary curbs that's on Second Avenue, I think where they did the paving. Was that, I don't remember if that was Jerry. We're gonna look into that. What?
You mean down towards the island there?
Yeah, I believe so. I think.
So a couple inlets had to be replaced during that storm project. So that is part of what the Wildwood, because the concrete roadway starts actually up by the island. So there's a couple slabs that he's going to be replacing there. And when he does that, he'll fix some of those curbs with it.
Okay.
And then the Wildwood paving as well.
Okay. All right. Thanks. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Carpenter.
Hi, thank you, Mr. McCarthy. Well, I'd like to report on our ordinance meeting. We had it on June 1st because of the holiday, Memorial Day. We went over many, many things. Not going to bore you with all the details, but one of the major things that came out of that was brought to our attention that 856 2nd Street is a very dilapidated house. And we decided that we would go ahead and make a motion to have a demolition hearing on that particular property. We had previously, many, many months ago, before all the virus and everything, had approved a motion to demolish 899 4th. But before everything got into place, the court shut down. So we're going to end up advertising and having a demo hearing for both of these properties. So first, I'd like to make a motion to schedule a demo hearing for 856 2nd Street.
There's a motion on the floor for demolition of 856 2nd Street. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Forbecker. Are there any questions?
Yeah, one question, Nancy. Do we have any kind of a report from Mark on I guess the condition of that property?
Well, I asked him. I said, because I've been here before, I said people are going to ask why, and he said because the house is totally dilapidated. That's what he told me.
What has he? I mean, what are the past actions that have been taken on that house? Like, did we go through a condemnation or anything else previously?
Honestly, I don't know. Welcome back, Mayor. I don't know, but I think, I don't know, maybe Mr. Zunic could help me with this. I think if the code enforcement guy determines that it's completely and totally unable to be rehabilitated.
You must have an ordinance in place that defines what a dangerous structure is. Typically, a dangerous structure is one that is more than 50% of its value dilapidated. And ordinarily, your engineer or building inspector would write an opinion to that effect. That would cause your motion to be put in place that would allow for you to proceed, and then you would follow your ordinance in terms of how you arrive at a final decision. Most of the ordinances are similar, and I'm sure Mr. Alexander knows exactly what needs to be done. But to start with, if you make a motion, then Mr. Alexander will be required to prove at a hearing that it meets the standard that would allow it to be torn down.
which at that hearing, Mark would come like he always does it as
Right.
a demolition hearing, and he would present the case as the reason why it would need to be torn down.
Okay, that makes sense. I just wanted to make sure that we had, if someone were to say, hey, why are you guys voting on demo property, that, we all know why. But I actually just looked this one up on Google Maps, and I'm walked by it a lot, and it's pretty bad. So.
Yeah, so he doesn't necessarily give me all the particulars, but maybe in the future, I will ask him for a little more information, as you indicated, Mr. Zunick, so thank you. So anyway.
There's also a process in place that would require some attempted contact to notify the owner, if there is anybody in existence, that this process is taking place, and they could take the necessary steps to protect themselves if they felt that there was an interest in rehabilitating that process. But most times, my experience is these properties are so far along in the destruction phase or the deterioration phase that there's very little interest or practicality in trying to rehab the properties. So this is just something that we are required to go through to satisfy the legal requirements that would allow Verona or any other community to tear a person's property down.
Sure.
Yeah, we do that. Mark goes through that process and goes through to try to find who owns it, tries to contact them. Once you approve having a demolition hearing, he goes through and sends certified mail of when the hearing is, posts the property, and goes through all the proper steps necessary to advertise the fact that we're going to consider demoing this property. You're not voting tonight to demo the property. You're voting tonight to have a hearing to discuss demoing the property. So you're not taking that step right now. He'll come to the demo hearing and he'll explain all that, and the owner of the property or whoever's in charge of it has the ability to come to that hearing and try to defend the property and why we shouldn't condemn it for demolition.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I understand. I guess I'm wondering if it would be, I was wondering if it would be necessary for Mark to have just a brief statement for council before the motion's brought up. I mean, I'm not picking on this particular property, but just in general, before we vote to have, spend the time on and money on a hearing.
Mark's not going to pick a property for demolition if it doesn't need to be done. He's not picking on people or,
Oh no, and I'm not at all picking on Mark or anything. I guess.
Well, I mean, these are really discussed in a lot of details at these committee meetings, and that's why, Nancy's recommending that this hearing be done. So there was a lot of discussion already, but I hear you, Dave. I think, having some report from Mark would be good. He gives us a verbal report at these committee meetings, so that's what we're going with.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's something from Nancy as ordinance chair, just to say, hey, we discussed this with Mark. The committee, recommends this. I don't know. I mean, I guess that's sort of what you're doing in the meeting. It's just, I don't even have a chance to look at where the property is most of the time when when it comes up for vote. And just, I guess I'm just wondering if a little bit more heads up so we can at least know where the property is before we vote to have the hearing.
I did try to make sure that I put in my agenda items a motion to advertise for demo hearing for 856 Second Street.
Okay, yeah, I might have missed that, so I guess that's
so
me,
I'm trying to get better at that, but take your suggestions under advisement. Maybe Mark can give me a little more detail, because I did ask him. I said, they're going to ask me, Mark, why are we doing this? But I'm kind of like with what Jerry said, and I know that Mark wouldn't be recommending this drastic of a action to be taken unless he was really sure. So,
Okay, are there any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Are there any noes? No noes. Motion passed.
Okay, so that being the case, and the fact that we approved a demo hearing for 899 4th Street many months ago, after discussing this with Mr. Alexander today, I do have on my agenda to have the demo hearing on July 14th, but he informed me that he would not be able to be here on July 14th, and that he would like to have the demo hearing on June 30th, which is the workshop, which is 3 weeks from now. And he would very much prefer it to be an in-person meeting. So he is going to take the necessary steps between now and June 30th, which fortunately it's a long month, so he has 3 weeks to satisfy the requirements of the advertising. And we'd like to schedule that demo hearing for those 2 properties on June 30th at 6:30.
Okay,
Is that good?
we'll do that.
All right. I wanted to also mention to everybody that I follow the COVID-19 virus cases on an interactive map. I don't know how many of you have that, but it's very helpful. And to this date, as of today, we still have 0 cases in Verona. So that's very excellent. There's 3 cases in Oakmont, a few cases in Plum and Penn Hills, but it's not too bad. So I just wanted everyone to be aware of that. In regards to Mrs. Worf's information she gave at the beginning of the meeting, and all of the supplies that the garden club needs to maintain all the plantings that we're in charge of for the summer, I'd like to make a motion that we donate $500 to the garden club to help see them over the summer, to be able to continue upkeep on the flowers and the plantings at the War Memorial and the memorial wall.
I'll second that.
I,
Go ahead, Janet.
I upped it to 1,000.
That we would not refuse that. I could revise my motion to the donating $1,000 to the garden club.
The motion's on the floor to donate $1,000 to the garden club. All those, I need a second.
I'll second it, Pat.
Mrs. Provenza, second. All those in favor, are there any questions?
Quick question, Nancy. You said at the Doughboy, that doesn't conflict with what the landscape maintenance that Resnick's doing, right?
No, what Resnick's doing is just making sure that more weeds don't pop up. I think, you know, what I remember from your specs is that's all we ask them to do.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, we're watering, and we have a little bit of a deer problem, so we need to figure out what to do about that. And you know, we have to buy this deer spray, whatever, and then it rains, and then that goes away, so then we have to get more, and maybe we're going to change what we have planted there and put something that's more deer proof, and we need money to do all that. So
Okay.
So that's a question. Go ahead, Dave.
Oh, the watering, it doesn't conflict with the watering we're already doing either around various sites.
no, that's, we've already approved for Darren to do. He's doing that, and I think so far that's going well.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just checking.
No, I had the same questions, Dave, and that's you know, what exactly would the money be spent for besides just deer?
Well, it would be spent for fertilizer. It would be spent to replace the plants that we planted around the Doughboy because the deer are eating them. And the plant food that we have to buy to feed the plants, you know, we have to use that a lot. So, and other expenses that I can't, you know, remember off the top of my head right now. Angela's at the graduation, so she's not here to answer them, but it will all be put to good use for the beautification of the town.
Maybe look at plantings that aren't that deer do not like.
Marigolds, apparently. So,
Are there any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Any noes? No noes, motion passed.
Okay, there's probably something else that I've forgotten, but right now that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Forback.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to report back dealing with the fire engines and the insurance. The engines are well covered into close to replacement value with no extra cost, so we are good with that, to go with that. The issue, I had an issue brought up by Bob Geisler, and actually I saw myself, was about the voting place, just a safety issue, dealing with voting at the Borough Building, where the egress with the same hallway, and I thought it was not really necessary. It's a safe issue. I don't know who determines it. Wasn't us, but I mean, if we go forward with this happens in the future for voting, we might want to think of either another place where there's a exit door, or consider actually putting an exit door in the council chambers. Because I was thinking that's sort of safe there too, but there's no exit door from the council chamber. Is that correct? I mean, other than through the main area, unless you try to get through the office, but that's locked. So it was sort of a safety concern to kind of bring up, and for us to maybe talk about, maybe a workshop or something.
Well, to that issue, let me say something. And Jerry can correct me if I'm wrong, but the county chose that location, Bureau of Elections, not us.
Yeah, I had a conversation with the County Department of Elections, and expressed concern about the size of the building, said that it might be better to be at the fire hall where we can have people more spread out. They prefer doing it at borough buildings, municipal buildings. So when I hung up with the lady, they were going to consider different options, and then I got an email saying they decided it was going to be at the borough building. So I don't know really what power we have there. I don't know if we're going to have to do this again. I don't know.
We don't know, but I think it's something we should talk about it further, or at least have an exit plan or exit for even just normal operations there too. Thank you. The other issue, there was the Verona Oakmont Penn Hills Plum feasibility study was completed. I think we got a hard copy sent to Verona. Jerry, I will be sending out everybody the electronic or digital copy that you can download and read. At our next meeting, we should be and I've been in touch with Craig too, that we would have to have a resolution to accept that report. So that will be forthcoming in your email. I just want to give everybody a heads up on that. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Wait, Mike, why do you have fire truck update on your?
He did give the report on it.
That was the fire engine insurance for the vehicles.
Okay. Is there any update that you have on the comprehensive plan?
I do not.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Suchovich is with the graduation party. He did not give me a report. Did he give you anything, Jerry?
He said that there were 11 fire calls in the month of May.
Okay. Ms. Albo.
Yes. All right, I have a little list of things here. I did pass out to council earlier. One thing, the Parks and Rec Board, they would like to have a movies in the park. They would like it to do in the borough parking lot across from Miller's. And there was a question if there was electric there. I don't know if that has been discovered. If we have access to electricity at Miller's parking lot.
The only, Janet, I was looking at that the other day. The only place I could think of, or I could see that would even have electric, some kind of power outlet available is the north side of the parking lot. There's a utility pole with a large panel on it, and I don't know if there's anything that could be tapped out of that. I didn't see an outlet, but I didn't look super closely, but I don't know if that's something maybe to check with AJ on, to see if there's anything in there.
Okay.
If there isn't anything there, you'd be looking at a pretty long extension cord from possibly the pavilion.
Janet.
Yes.
There is plenty of power in that box. It has to just be open. We ran the fall festival off that box and the one over by the gazebo. So there's plenty of power in there. It's just, behind the box. So power is not a problem in that box.
Who can open that? Somebody from the borough, or do we need to get the electric company, or?
No, AJ has the key. The street department has a key for that.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
turn on the breaker. That's all.
Okay. They're looking to have it July 10th, so hopefully we can get that, checked out beforehand. And the movie's gonna be Frozen 2, what they like to show.
And what about the screen? Janet, what about the screen?
The screen, I'm not sure if our screen could be there, but somebody has a box truck that they were looking to park there to maybe show it off the side of the box truck. It'll be like a drive-in. You're going to park your car there. So like for the social distancing, I'm not sure how the sound will go, but they're working on that. So I guess the farmers market started this past Tuesday. I was not there. I was out of town. Stephanie is asking for if we have extra cones, like up to 15 cones that can be used. They would also like, I guess, to hang up the banners. And if we can also let the police chief know that the borough parking lot right next to the borough building, they would like to use that for like Shram's food trucks, like farm trucks, like the bigger trucks like that, to help with the grass. So there's no grass burnout in the green space there. So if that's an issue, it can also be some parking for people that need the be accessible to that for special needs type of thing.
Didn't we try that last year?
We did, but they would like to try it again this year. I guess too, I'm not sure how it ran last week. Like I said, I wasn't there to see how the exits and the postings went, banners went, but the rec board is also helping Stephanie with the farmers market this year. I guess, also we about the little glitch in the playgrounds being open. We did discuss that in exec session before this meeting a little bit. So the playgrounds will be closed until the mulching, the work that is going to be done is done first. Then they can reopen. Yes, right now the basketball court is open. The one down at Riverbank is being worked on currently. Once that is completed, that basketball court will be open. The pickleball court is open. Let me see here.
Janet,
Yes.
as far as the parking lot, what do they want to do in the parking lot?
The one right next to the borough building. That for the farmers
Yeah.
market? Yeah. They want to
Yeah.
say that like for Shram's truck, like for other vendors, for some vendors, and a little limited parking.
All right, so you want the parking lot empty then, other than for the vendors?
Correct.
And handicap
All right.
parking.
So, yeah.
All right, I'll take care of that.
Okay. They were also asking, the Parks and Rec were also asking for the bathrooms at cribs to be open during the day, I suppose, when the park is open, the playground's open, so people go wash their hands. I know in past years, the bathroom was only open during, like when RA had games there, you know, when there were, or different leagues had their ball games. That's when the bathrooms were open. Currently, there is not a porta-john. I suggest people bring their hand sanitizers. I think that would be costly to the borough. That's my opinion. You know, if we left the bathrooms open, who's to say that, I know how kids are, to just leave the water running without turning off the spigots. I know that can be an issue as well.
I think a big issue is keeping it clean. You know, with all this COVID stuff going on, we don't really have the manpower to go up and clean the bathrooms every day. And I don't know that it's really a good idea to have bathrooms that aren't being cleaned, being used and left open. My opinion, I would be concerned about the cleanliness of them.
And in the past, they have been destroyed. So I'd have to say that we should keep them closed based on the corona until we get a better idea of things and how to better clean them.
Okay. And I think that's everything. I went over that their concerns are. Anybody has any other questions for me?
Yeah, I think there was also a concern, if I recall from the meeting, similar about the bathrooms for when the farmer's market is going on, allowing people to use the bathrooms in the borough building. So they can wash their hands, go to the bathroom, obviously, for sanitary reasons. And I had a question too. Do we have maintenance in the borough building every day? Does the guy who works there, does he come every day or?
No, he comes Mondays and Thursdays. The cleaning guy?
Yeah.
No, Mondays and Thursdays he cleans.
And he does the bathrooms?
Correct.
So they just get done twice a week?
Correct.
Anyway, it seems kind of tough to allow people to come to the park, whether it's cribs or railroad, and not provide some way for them to go to the bathroom.
I understand that, but the cost would be prohibitive for us to try to keep them clean, and this is just one of those circumstances, I think, that we have to deal with at this time. We've always provided it before.
Mm-hmm. I just am trying to figure out what is the prohibitive cost to clean a bathroom. It takes like less than an hour. You pay, you know, somebody, I don't know, 11, 12 bucks an hour, 1 hour a day. That's $60 a week. It doesn't feel prohibitive to me.
It does.
But you'd have to do it more than once a day.
No, I'm not saying, I don't know. Maybe we could supply some Lysol things and everybody would clean up after themselves. I don't know, but.
That's not going to happen, Nancy.
Nancy,
you know that, and I know that.
You can't put that liability on the borough. The streets department isn't going to be able to go up there and clean the bathrooms every day. And you can't leave Lysol wipes because people break the water fountain every year. They break the sink off the wall. You leave them open all day long every day, they're going to get destroyed and they're going to be filthy dirty, and then somebody's going to get sick. I don't.
We're not having porta johns either. Is that correct?
That's correct. For the same reason. Can't keep them clean.
Well, then you know what they're going to do? They're going to go to the bathroom in the field.
Well, they should go home.
Go home.
Unfortunately.
The neighborhood park.
The new norm.
Going to the bathroom in the field can get you an indecent exposure and on Megan's Law for the rest of your life. So I'd go home.
Yeah.
Question: What do we do in the past before COVID with the restrooms at cribs? Did we have any kind of regular cleaning for those, or?
Not really. The maintenance crews would go up and clean them, you know, when they got the chance, you know, once a week, maybe twice a week. And the porta johns, they were cleaned, you know, once a week by the company that we rented them from.
Yeah, and the bathrooms at Cribs were only open during RAA events and events. They weren't open all day long. So they didn't get a lot of use because they were locked most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just curious. Thanks.
You're welcome. Anything else?
That's all I have.
Okay. Ms. Provenza.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. A few items here. The newsletter is at the printers as we speak. And the good news is we will probably have it in our mailboxes possibly before the end of this month. So we did quite well with that. Also, we received many wonderful articles, and I just want to thank all the contributors that took the time to send us the articles. We're very appreciative and we thank them. Also, on the hanging baskets, they are without a question beautiful. They're such a wonderful addition to our town, and we've gotten many, many thanks on them and very, very nice compliments, and that certainly makes us feel good as a garden club and as a community, really. And I would like to take a minute and thank Patty Timonella and her son, Darren, for keeping these baskets looking beautiful, not only watering them, but feeding them. They're doing a great job, and I thank them both. Also, Kennywood Picnic. Every year for probably 108 years, Verona and Oakmont have done the Verona Oakmont Community Picnic. It's always been in July. This year, the picnic has been moved to August, and it will actually be on August the 19th, I believe it is. And tickets are going to be on sale at our Borough Building garage, where people can just, excuse me, people can just pull up in their car, pay for the tickets, and go from there. And the times and the dates for these tickets is going to be, they're going to start on August the 14th, which is a Friday. And they're going to be there from noon till 6 p.m. On Saturday, they'll be there from 9 to 3. Sunday, they'll be there from 9 to 3 also. And on Monday, it will be from 9 to 9. And Tuesday, 9 to 9 also. The picnic is on Wednesday, the 19th, and they will be there from 9 until noon. And that, of course, the 19th would be the day of the picnic. And there will be no buses. We did not have enough people for buses last year, and buses are not very cheap. They're quite expensive. So people will be using their own transportation. And if anyone is interested in purchasing tickets prior to the picnic, because a lot of people in the community can't make the picnic date. So Cindy Bujalski, who is in charge of handling these tickets, and her fellow workers that work with her, they always do a great job, and I appreciate them, and I know we all do, and I thank them. And Cindy has asked that I give her phone number in case anybody would like to buy tickets in advance. And her telephone number is 412-612-6257. And I'll repeat that number again. It's 412-612-6257. And when you call, she asks that you leave your name and your phone number, and she will get back with you as soon as she can. And then she'll be glad to meet people down at the Borough Building, in front of the Borough Building, and deliver the tickets to them. And in closing with that, these tickets cannot be used every single day. They're actually designated for the picnic, but there are other days that they can be used. But at this point, we don't know what days they can be used. But people just need to know these tickets are not good 7 days a week. So next month, I will have maybe a little more detail on this. But these tickets, you have to be careful. If you think you can use them every day, you can't. It's only going to be certain days, plus our picnic date, which would be on Wednesday, the 19th of August. And also, in closing, the tickets will also be for sale at John Henry's Verona News Store. He will also have tickets for sale. He hasn't gotten them yet, so he really didn't have any information for me. So I thank you for listening, and that is my reports. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Pat, I have one thing I wanted to ask about that I
Go ahead.
I received a call from a resident that was wondering about using Cribbs Field Pavilion for a birthday party. It'll be this weekend. Are we permitting that? They're looking at 20 people for about 2 hours. Are we allowing that?
We're not allowing organized sports right now. I mean, hopefully it sounds like the organized sports are going to start coming back soon. I think it might be for around the state, but I think it's a bad precedent for us to set, unfortunately.
Well, I'm not exactly sure what the precise CDC guidelines are, but I believe that they call for the ability to have gatherings of up to 25 people. And I think I read somewhere that the city and many other communities are opening up things like
So it's actually
the courts and the pickleball and organized sports is my understanding. We're in the green phase. I'm not sure.
The green phase says actually 250 people.
Okay.
Right.
And what about organized sports? In that Parks and Rec thing that Dave, I think you sent it out, or Janet, you sent it out. Do you guys recall what it said about organized sports?
I don't recall offhand.
I don't either.
They were practicing at Cribbs this weekend.
Yeah, it's allowed, spectate, I think up to 60, something like that, so.
So why are we not allowing organized sports then? I'm not clear about that.
Well, we weren't allowed, but if
But
we're
they
allowed
are,
now, I
aren't-
have a problem.
yeah.
I mean, if our RAA wants to have it, I mean, I'm not against it. I just trying to follow the CDC guidelines with it. Has RAA approached you, Janet, about having games?
I have not heard from RAA, but if I could ask one more question regarding Cribbs Field, the batting cages that they put the new netting around, who's responsible for cutting the grass inside that batting cage? Is it still our borough guys? Can they lift the netting up and cut the grass, or, because it hasn't been cut? I guess that was a question. RAA, they will cut it, but
I don't know who cut it when it was the other batting cages.
I don't know. RAA may have done it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Do you know, Jerry?
What's not getting cut?
Inside
the
the
batting cages. Inside. Did we cut them
I don't know.
last year, or did RAA? Talk to AJ and find out.
Yeah, I'll talk to AJ and see. I know that he was having a difficult time getting around it because now that netting kind of hangs down into the grass. So he had to kind of zip tie it up so that he didn't get it jammed up in the lawnmower, but to get around it. But I don't know that he would go inside it. I don't know. I'll have to check.
Yeah, check, and then we can let RAA. If we're permitted to let them have organized sports, I don't have a problem. And then let the people have the pavilion. But it would be getting back to the new norm of some type. Does anybody object to it?
Should we check and see if there's any sort of liability on our behalf if somebody were to get sick? The insurance company,
my understanding, but our guest solicitor could comment on this. My understanding, it's practically impossible to prove if somebody got sick where exactly they got sick from.
Yeah.
I think that's a medical question, not a legal question, but isn't the real issue is, do you want to have private parties in your public parks? What happens when you have a conflict with a potential public use, and you've rented out or allowed somebody, 10 people to use your public place when there's 100 people that want to use it.
We keep track of it. We have a calendar. We charge for.
As long as you have a policy and you're consistent, then I don't have a problem with it. But you need to think that for every person that says, I want to use it, there might be some other person who wants to use it. And how do you solve all the problems? Do you have a sign-up list? I mean, you have to be fair about it. That's all I'm saying. But I don't have a comment on how you keep track of who might spread illness. That's Dr. Fauci's bailiwick.
Yeah, there's an application that they would fill out to use it too. So,
Yeah.
When is this, Jerry? What's the
This
date?
weekend. I think she said Sunday. I have to call her back. So, but I told her I would check with council and see what council was saying about being able to use the parks for that. So if you're good with it, I'll call her and tell her that she should get with Marcia and get an application and pay the permit fee.
People pay a rental fee of some sort?
yes.
Correct.
Yeah. I'm okay with it.
I mean, I don't have a huge issue with this particular party, but I do think for larger events or for organized sports, we maybe want to discuss what we want to do going forward, because I did look it up, and there's the Pennsylvania Parks and Rec Society, the guidelines that Nancy was mentioning. It does say that green phase or contact sports and everything are allowed, but they have various recommendations for social distancing and keeping things safer. So I don't know if we want to try to set any kind of guidelines or rules for how it's used for organized sports and things like that, but maybe that's something to discuss at the workshop. I don't know.
Why don't we do that? By then, we may have more guidance.
That's good. Yeah.
I agree.
Jerry, is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. I would just say that we should be careful on creating guidelines that we don't have the manpower or the ability to enforce.
Oh, I totally agree. But I'm just saying, just because it's green, I don't know that necessarily means we want to just let the doors wide open to anything and everything. So
do we want to say no to this and then have further discussion, or are we afraid of setting?
Yeah, let's do that, because otherwise we're going to get ourselves into a jam here, I think.
Yeah, then you have the playground and everything else.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's just say no to it for now.
Okay.
Keep it, and then we can get some guidance, maybe better guidance for June 30th.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Nope. Thank you. Anybody else have anything?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, I noticed, Sylvia, on your agenda, you also had the website. I don't think you mentioned that.
Oh, excuse me. Yes, I did. I ran over that. No, I would just ask if there's any updates on the website. That's all.
Yeah, I've been working with Dave about it. I'm working on a design, and then he's going to work on doing copy and filling in some of the text that needs to be updated. So it's in process.
Okay, thank you. A couple people had asked. That's why I brought it up.
Jerry, with the website, back years ago, whenever we hired someone to do the one that we have now, I remember that we sort of paid him half and not the other half, and then there was lots of problems and complaints, and you kind of agreed with that. Did we end up paying him any more, or did we sever our relationship with that
He
person?
fixed all the problems that we had at the time, and we paid the additional half.
So is all we're paying now is the monthly Google or whatever it is?
Yep, we pay Google for email and for all that stuff, and then we pay Webflow for the monthly hosting fee, which is $15.
Okay, but what you and Dave are going to do is going to be in a totally different arena, a WordPress instead?
Correct.
Okay, thanks. Oh, and
Pat,
could you mention about the street sweeper too, please?
I don't have a whole lot to really report. It's broken. It's in the shop. We're not 100% sure what's wrong with it. I'm not sure how much it's going to cost to fix, but it's in the shop, and I'll have an update for council as soon as I know more.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, the only thing I have is we got I know council got a copy of it, but I want everybody to know, we got a thank you note from the Community Food Bank. So thank you for the major gift you recently gave the Community Food Pantry, housed at Verona United Methodist Church. This is a huge help in keeping our shelves well filled with food when our neighbors need it the most. Thank you again, Judy Myers, Community Food Pantry. So that was all I had. Do we have any other comments from the public?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that there's many, many chats on here. I don't know what we want to do or how to handle that.
Well, do we want to have the mayor report too?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Did not give his report? I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah, I was going to ask real quick. I run down the street. It was very nice. There was a small, nice little crowd, you know, to welcome the new graduates from 2020. Two other things real quick. I'm sure you went over this already. The garbage, when they came in late that evening, I was getting a lot of calls. And if they could call us when they have a problem, I think that would resolve, you know, help resolve, you know, some of the questions. You know, when people call, why is the garbage company out here at 10:30? Well, they had to explain to me they had 2 trucks broke down, but we didn't know that at the time. And like I said, and I'm sure some of the other council people were getting phone calls too. I know I did. Why are they here so late? The other thing too, Matt, and I'm sure you touched bases on this, Wildwood Avenue. When are they going to re-cement that? They said 3 to 4 weeks. It's been 4 weeks at the last.
I just spoke with him this morning on that. We're going to be meeting at the end of this week, beginning of next week, to mark out all the areas because some of the slabs that are broken that are adjacent, we're going to be replacing those as well, or at least saw cutting and making nice straight lines. So I'm meeting with him, like I said, in the next few days, and then we'll be getting it on the schedule for him to do. When talking with him, he thinks it's going to be about a 3 to 4 day process to try to not interfere with traffic as much as possible. He's going to do those first couple slabs by the island, fix some of the curb there, then move down around onto Wildwood, probably do some of the curb in like the side lane first, and then use a high early mixture where traffic can be on it within 3 hours on the travel lane areas.
Right, because that's a major throughway, and we need to get that done ASAP.
Yep, it's on the schedule here.
Thank you. All right, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, Jerry, is there anybody that wants to make a comment?
So Joey Warren has his hand up. There are several Q&As, there are chats, I don't know, and there's a couple other hands just went up. So do you want to do the hands first?
Do hands first. Limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
All right, we'll start with Joey Warren.
Thank you, Jerry.
Yep.
So I had a couple of things from the workshop meeting I wanted to follow up on. The first of the two were what steps were taken for the outreach since last meeting for the trees, the weeds, and the sidewalk. I know there's completion of the roadway, but I didn't know if you've made a decision on how that's going to be done. I think in the least, we could at least be good neighbors and just do that. The weeds are at 4 feet tall and the trees are coming down over the sidewalk. You can't even pass through the sidewalk at this point. So that was the first question. Also, last workshop meeting, I shared with you guys that there was a couple instances where at the intersection of Athletic and Vogels, that there were cars coming through. Whether they're at the rate of speed they're allowed to or not, there are no stop signs. So I made recommendations. I know you're going to discuss by committee, but it wasn't mentioned tonight what your solution was for no stop signs at the intersection of the two roads. And then for tonight's discussion, I know it was a wonderful gesture for the garden to go from 500 to 1,000, but I can't help but think that there's allocation of budget monies for something like that, and there seems to be over $70,000 in the budget. So I didn't know why that was up for debate. It seems like there is money there, so I didn't know if that's something that was not within the $70,000 that you had already budgeted for. So that was the third piece, President. And the last thing I wanted to share was the Parks and Recreation request for the restroom use. I know in other communities I've lived in, you can change the faucet handles. That would, definitely eliminate the running water and water staying on. But we also, from what I understand, have lots of cameras. We've been told by Stephen Zappala that we have lots of community cameras. The police chief has expressed that there are, cameras. So I don't think that should be a deterrent that there will be damage. There's got to be a best practice from other communities for us to have, open and maintain restrooms here. I don't think that COVID in this moment should be a shield to some known issue like, the use of the restrooms. And I don't think the stance of curbing mischief should drive any of the amenities that we have. And, further on the discussion tonight, I know that you guys are talking about the use of organized sports versus the rental use for the park at Cribs, but it needs to be consistent. There seems to be conflict of what council's decision is on the use of these amenities. I don't think personally as a resident, we should have to pay any club fees or sports fees or rental fees for the use of the amenities at the park in our backyards. With a $3.3 million budget, you guys have got to have a solution there somehow, some way to maintain it and have it open and have it safe. I think there's a solution to it, but I don't think just saying it right now because it's unsafe with washing hands or contagions. I mean, there's a way to approach that once we are ready to be normal, we can have that amenity where you don't have to be paying a fee or rent it in advance to use the restroom. Again, I don't think it's only mischief. You have older people, you have families, you have younger kids that come from blocks around to use that amenity. So it should be available to everybody. And I think that was it. I had made quite a few notes. I did have a couple of questions within where the hands were, where the questions were, Jerry. And I know you've done a really good job answering questions. And one of the last remarks you'd said about where we are in standings with real estate revenue and also with the EIT. What was the number of unique payers this time year to date? Because I think that will be helpful in knowing with real estate who's paid in advance or not, to know if we're just ahead by timing on dollars versus the payers.
I don't have that handy, Jody. I'll have to get it.
Okay, I just thought it might be good indicators to what that would be for if we're ahead or not. It sounds like one's up and one's down. I don't know if it's canceling each other out, but I appreciate you getting that answer back from me from last month. So again, all these questions of the use of the park. I know there's a lot of things that are going to be updated up there. I know that the fencing has been corrected. There's been a chance for no one to be on the grass, so it's going to look really nice really soon. And I know green does not go for Allegheny County, but once we are ready to open these amenities, I just want to make sure that as this goes on, I would really like to hear all the elected officials discuss and debate this. I appreciate the feedback I'm hearing for legality issues, but I do think that the elected officials need to also share their remarks and their sentiment, and then you guys come to a decision, because I think that's a big deal. Once you do restrict it to clubs and, my kids play sports. So the reason that we're not seeing sports up there right now is because we've been refunded as parents and as players and as coaches. So we're not playing in those spaces. But I don't think that should be, there shouldn't be a paywall to use what's in our backyard. Thank you, President.
Joey, let me ask you a question for a second. Where are these trees and weeds that you were talking about?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so if you're coming down from Church Street on 2nd and you're approaching Wildwood, you're going to come down those set of sidewalk on the right-hand side that goes to the end of the street, and you cross the street for the bus stop. Right there used to be a portlet. That's been moved. But you'll see that the weeds are waist high and that the trees are coming over. I can't share an image here, but there's a picture from this afternoon, but it keeps getting taller. And I understand from past years' meetings where I've discussed this.
I think this is the area, Mike, isn't this the area we've been talking about in the ordinance committee?
Yeah, we brought this up at the ordinance committee meeting, and Mark reached out to Penn Hills to take care of that, since that was Penn Hills proper.
Yeah.
We'll go back, Mark, and find out what happened with that, because you're right. I see that every day too, Joey. There's tall grass. I'm going to take the weed whacker to myself.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. If you could just understand why I'm proposing the solutions. The whole idea is that, I've heard over the years I've been here, like, that's Penn Hills or it's us. And I think at this point, like you said, Mike, it's just a weed eater and a mower and get it down and then just let them know we've done it and they can maintain it from there. But it's, you know, it's a thoroughway to a bus stop, and it's, you know, it's down to the barbecue spot too for some people that walk down the street. So that was the whole idea of it. Thank you.
Okay, is there any other comments from anybody?
Yeah.
Real quick, as far as the stop signs, there have been a couple other people mentioning lack of stop signs in certain intersections, and I have it on my list. I'm going to try to get with Matt and maybe Jerry and see if there's, I mean, I don't know what the rules or regulations are for putting one up, but I would think that that's something we can take care of soon once we identify which areas need them.
Yeah, and I know that Trish gave several intersections up where she lives that didn't have stop signs. I know there's a few down here in Lower Verona where one part does. I mean, I just am thinking 4-way stops or 3-way intersections. Everyone should have a stop sign. It's
An enforceable stop sign has to be passed by ordinance.
Okay, then we'll work on that.
Well, I have a list so far of the streets or the intersections that have been identified. So I'll look into that further and see what we need to do and where it makes sense to add them.
Have Matt talk with the chief as well, and Dave, the mayor.
What's that, Pat? I'm sorry.
Have Matt, after he and you get together and you talk with the mayor and the chief to determine where they should be.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I have no problem with that.
Okay, thanks.
Next is Stephanie Garibay.
Hi, yes, thank you for taking me. So I wanted to put a comment out about the bathrooms at Cribsfield, and just that I don't see why we wouldn't be able to use them from 9 to 5 and have them shut down. I feel like the vandalism will more or less happen at nighttime if there were to be. Also, I think you should put trust in the community. I know maybe that's happened in the past, but I think we can give it another go around. Also, I don't know if the articles are true or not, but now they're saying, you know, asymptomatic people it's not spreading as much and it's rare for COVID at this time. I don't know if that's true or not, but I wanted to make that comment. If we're really concerned about COVID spreading, et cetera.
I think one thing to be clear on, Verona Borough is not creating these guidelines or these requirements. This is all coming from the state. This is the governor.
So they told you to close the bathrooms?
Well, we're following CDC guidelines and restrictions by the governor. We're not creating this. We want to get stuff opened up. We want to go back to normal just as bad as everybody else. We're trying to navigate orders from the governor that are complicated and confusing and seemingly changing every day. So,
well, yes, it is, but bathrooms are to be closed then.
What?
Is that what
not what I
the
said.
governor's? Okay, but I'm just asking because I know we're following guidelines.
Okay.
But if the bathrooms aren't said to be closed,
but you're mentioning the fact that now it's not contagious through asymptomatic. That's not.
Oh, no, yes, no, I was just making a comment. That was just a comment. But I think that if there are no guidelines to say shut down the bathrooms for the public part, you know, maybe don't. I don't know. I just want to make a comment and put my 2 cents in as a citizen of Verona. A second thing would be Verona Community Group would like to know if we are able to use the borough address should we receive any mail. We don't receive mail at this time, but should we need to receive something, would it be possible to use the borough as our mail site?
No, that's for the borough business.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you.
Okay, Stephanie is gone. Rayon. Rhea?
everyone. This is Rhea Homa at 742 Brunot Street, and I have 2 comments slash requests. First, I approach you as a busy and involved Verona resident, and I'd like to state my appreciation to the council for your ability to adapt to changes among COVID precautions and still provide a medium for local government to continue advancing and allowing residents to still be involved via Zoom. As we're all looking forward to getting back to more normal operations, I would like to ask council to consider continuing online remote conferencing capabilities even after normal face-to-face council meetings resume, so that residents may continue to participate remotely. I've found remote meetings to be so much more convenient and easier to attend, especially on particularly busy days. Continuing remote capabilities also allow residents to participate in real time and be more involved with their local government with like maximum productivity and convenience, particularly if residents have children at home to care for or limited time to spare. And secondly, I just have a statement that I'm very disappointed to hear the lack of support and problem solving to provide a clean and safe environment for families and residents that do use our parks. Residents deserve access to public parks and a place to wash hands and use the restroom as needed. Thank you, Joey Warren and Stephanie Garraby, for displaying a great example of trying to solve some problems, examples of problem solving. I think there should be more discussions about this, and I ask you to continue to explore further options to make sure that our residents' needs are met regarding access, safety, and health while enjoying our parks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Laura Jacko.
Okay, hi guys. Sorry, I actually had some information that I was hoping to share earlier when you guys were talking about it. So to bring it back up again, I actually had read over a document that I think either Dave Matlin sent or was copied on like the recommendations for reopening parks and sports. So I actually was pretty knee deep into that, and I was asked to write an article for the Verona Community Newsletter about what the recommendations are. I thought Brent Alexander was actually supposed to send me something, but I never got anything from him, so I used those recommendations that were shared from, I think it was like the Parks Council or something like that. So I actually put out something in the newsletter from the Parks and Rec people with the approval of, you know, everybody who's supposed to approve it, on what people are supposed to be doing right now for contact sports. So if that's now up for debate, I don't know what to do about that, because the newsletters, it sounds like it's already depressed. But, you know, the guidelines were, you know, something to the effect of so many people, you know, limited spectators, you know, cleaning of equipment before and after, and, you know, limited people using the fields at any given time. You know, there's really comprehensive guidelines out there on that are available. And as far as I knew, we were following the recommendations that were there. So, you know, if you see an article about it in the newsletter, don't be surprised. Janet and I worked on it. and I know Brent, and I thought someone had said Jerry too had like talked with Brent about it, like having something out there for the public to refer to about. But maybe I was wrong that maybe Jerry knew about it, but I know Brent Alexander had asked. So or Craig, sorry, not Craig Alexander had asked about it too. So yeah, I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that, but there's gonna be something in the newsletter about it. So you know, hopefully we are allowing people to follow the guidelines. I mean, I'm a cautious person, but the guidelines seem pretty strict.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I guess FYI on that. I'd also like to echo the sentiments about cleaning of the bathrooms. I know that, you know, I think instead of just shooting down the idea about trying to open up the bathrooms, we should at least get the data on it before deciding one way or another, that it may or may not be cost prohibitive or too difficult to do or what have you. I feel like council should be looking into how much it costs before just assuming it's going to be cost prohibitive, especially since we have someone that does the cleaning already. And if we are going to be opening up the parks, if we're worried about liability, it's much more liability to have a park where people can't wash their hands or go to the bathroom than it is like that's a cleaner park than having absolutely no, or having amenities that are completely locked up where people can't clean themselves if they need to. And I agree, like, you know, everybody says that we have these cameras, so we should be able to keep an eye out for vandalism. And, you know, they should only be open during daylight hours. I know Oakmont's parks have really lovely bathrooms. I've used them personally, and they're always kept very clean, very nice. And I don't know why we don't have faith in our own community to do as good as what Oakmont can do. Especially if we have the structure there, and that structure is supposed to be getting updated too. You know, that's a structure that is slated to have been updated already. Probably the construction got, you know, stopped because of the coronavirus thing, but it's going to be updated and it's going to be a nice new thing. So we should have it available for people. And to address something that Joey had said earlier to you quickly, because I went through this last year, I looked into renting out parks and pavilions for my son's birthday. I think, and I could be wrong, but I think that the fee that's charged is just like a pavilion rental fee. So I think that that is fair, because they charge that over in Oakmont too. It's more of like a facilities fee just for the pavilion itself and the use of it, from what I understand.
The fee is like $25. It's just so that the administrative cost involved in keeping the calendar, issuing permits. We do it that way so that we don't have more than one person showing up and then who gets to use it.
Yeah, I think it's just for like the pavilion, right? Like,
yeah,
it's like
not
literally
use
for
the
the
park.
yeah.
Right. It's just that
So-
if you have a party there, every community has that.
Yeah,
And they-
Oakmont did the same thing. Sorry, not to cut you off, but I actually did end up using Oakmont last year because their park was bigger. They had better bathroom facilities. And yeah, I paid them a small fee to use and hold a pavilion, and I think that's pretty normal. So that's NBD for me, but definitely you need to look into the bathroom facilities. I can speak from personal experience. There's been multiple times where my child, like I needed to wash his hands, or, you know, I needed to change his diaper, and I had to go down to like Mechanic Coffee House to do that because there weren't bathroom facilities available to me when I was using our parks. So really what we're doing is effectively offloading the risk and the upkeep of an amenity that should be available to our local businesses. Because I just had nowhere else to go that had hand washing capabilities. So I think that I agree with all the other people that have commented. Also agree with Rhea on the online thing. I am here much later than I normally would be because because it is online, and I appreciate that. So I think we should continue this even after we don't have to anymore. And that is it.
Thank you. Anybody else, Mr. Kennedy?
Yeah, we have a few more. So Laura now is, it looks like probably Vince Flota, I would imagine. Go ahead, Vince.
Yeah, hi. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to speak on some of the Governor Tom Wolf's guidelines. I was just reading them, and it clearly states that if you have a park or recreational space in your town that has the facilities to be able to offer hand washing capabilities, then they should be open to the public during this time. And he recommends that they be cleaned around once a day or as much as possible. My thought on this is I sat here and heard how we're going to give $1,000 for some decorative plants on the boulevard, but it's now cost prohibitive to pay $60 a week for about 4 months out of the year for people to have clean hands if they're participating in any kind of activity at the park. I don't understand how decorative plants outweigh safety. I see that it's probably going to cost a little less to clean the bathrooms than it is to donate $1,000 for something that's going to die when fall comes. So, I mean, that's my thought on that. I just don't. I think that the bathrooms should be open if we have them, and I mean, maybe put a limit on the time of day that they can be used, but during peak hours of the day, like 9 to 5, they should be open and cleaned maybe a half hour a day. So I mean, that's all my thoughts on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, the cost is going to be more than $60 a week. I don't know if council wants to discuss this. I mean,
We'll discuss it later because we have to look into all the costs. It may not be cost prohibitive, but I don't know that. We have to look into the cost and figure it out before we make that decision.
I'd say that, I mean, it seems like there's an overwhelming number of people in the public that want it. I'll admit that going into this meeting, I wasn't totally in favor of it, but I think it's worth looking into, rough costs and see what the
I don't have a problem with that. I
didn't
agree.
think we were opposed to. I think we were just trying to get some more information before we made the decision.
I want to get the whole picture, not just jump into it.
So my suggestion would be we can do that, what you're suggesting, look into it, get more information. It sounds like people are looking directly at the guidelines, like Vince and Laura and others. What I don't want to do is see us wait for 3 weeks till our workshop to make a decision.
We won't.
Because then the summer is wasting away.
Right.
We won't. We need to, next week we'll get the idea of how much it would cost and what needs to be done. So we can then contact everybody on council and make a decision about that. Okay?
So Jerry, are you going to look into that? Who's going to look into it?
I'll look into it.
Thank you.
Who's next, Jerry?
Trish is up. Trish.
Hi, good evening, Council. The first item I just wanted to mention, I put it in the chat, I'm not sure if everyone saw it, but when you are repainting the center lines on some of the streets, if you could also look at redoing the crosswalks in those areas in tandem, that would be much appreciated. Many of the crosswalks are as deteriorated as the center line, if not worse. So if it's possible, if it makes sense to do that, then I would appreciate that. And the second item I wanted to say, which I think has pretty much been said pretty well, is I'm president of Rec Board, and I really want to echo everything the 5 other people said. And on behalf of all 7 of us on Rec Board, we really find it unacceptable to consider closing all bathrooms and removing the only possible location to wash or sanitize your hands. I understand there's a lot of liabilities, there's a lot of rules. I'm knee deep in them myself at CMU reopening our labs, but also I encourage you to just have some common sense about this. Are we more likely to be sued for having restrooms that we attempted to keep open and clean for people to sanitize their hands, or more likely to be sued because they had absolutely no options? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next.
All right. It looks like Joey Warren has his hand up again. There's also some stuff here in the chat. I'm not sure if Joey has his hand up again or if it's still up from last time.
No, I think he has it up again.
What do you want to do with that? You wanna...
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Joey.
Thank you. Yeah, yes, I did have the second thing I wanted to share a remark on. The 3 minutes is for Robert's rules. I'm able to make a couple comments, correct, President?
Go ahead.
Okay. I appreciate the discussion. I clearly see there's a frustration with a couple people on camera tonight having heard a couple of solutions, but I am, like I said, earlier, I appreciate some of the feedback from some of the people, but I would really like to hear some feedback from elected officials tonight. I know it's tough to jump in with cameras and mics and different people stepping in, but if I could hear from Sylvia and Janet, if they'd be given a moment, please share their thoughts on the use of restrooms and water at the parks. Thank you.
I'll go ahead. I had stated earlier, I know my kids bring it home. You know, when they went to cribs, they ran home to the bathroom. We lived up the street or down the street. I can understand everybody's points of views. I mean, look into it like we had suggested and, you know, see how it goes. Right now, the playgrounds aren't open. That's another thing too. I can understand the plays are, you know, the kids are playing and they have to run. Right now, it's just field use. And from what I could see, there's not a whole lot of people actually there using the, you know, Cribs Field at the moment. I could be wrong because I'm not there all day to look at it. It's just when I do drive by, so most evenings it's completely empty. But you know, I'm hearing everybody's feedback, and I could, you know, totally understand, especially with young children too. It's always easy to run home, and you know, you need, you know, washing hands is really important right now too. So
Janet, can I ask you a quick question? Do you have an idea when the playgrounds will be, the work on the playgrounds will be completed so that we could allow people to use them once the CDC says it's okay or whatever?
I know Matt had said Mark Ford, his company, you know, it was 4 weeks, so possibly in 2 or 3 weeks, they, you know, we're on their list to have that completed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Are you done, Janet?
I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Joey, thank you for asking for our input. I have listened to everyone's comments, and I appreciate them. I will go back a little bit on the restrooms. The reason that they were locked up, they were so badly damaged, Joey, and then they were repaired and they were damaged again. And then they were repaired and they were damaged again. It was just an ongoing thing. I understand what Janet said too. When we were children, we didn't go to the restrooms in the park. We came home. There probably weren't even restrooms then. I don't recall, but if there were, we still ran home. We weren't that far away. I think restrooms are needed. I am not opposed to having them. Right now, though, with this COVID virus, this kind of puts a problem on it, because how do you keep them clean all the time? And what's the cost going to be? I don't know. I think this is something that as a council, we need to sit down and completely discuss it from one end to the other. I do not feel that I can completely answer the question. I would like to sit down with our council members and get their input. I am not opposed to having bathrooms, and I know we're going to have beautiful new ones soon. And I hope that they won't be destroyed. We have kids sometimes that get a little bit wild and out of control, and they don't respect the property, anybody's property, the borough property or either other people's property. But there has to be some sort of a solution to keeping them nice. If Oakmont can keep them nice, I can't see why we can't. And some kind of rules and regulations are going to have to set in order for our bathrooms to be in good condition and that people can use them. Right now with this virus business, it just seems to put a real issue on everything. I don't think we need to be as strict as we are now. If any of the people read what our county coroner, Cyril Weck, said, he said, it's time to move on and start living our life again. And I respect him. I find him to be a very brilliant man, and I feel that he knows what he's talking about. And I don't know if everybody else is in favor of that. But some of the things he's saying are very, very right. But I would like all of council to sit down and meet, talk about this, and some solid decisions do have to be made. I hope I've answered some of your questions, Joey. If I haven't, please ask me.
Okay, so Vince has his hand up again. And then there's still a lot here. Pat, what do you want me to do?
We've got and you're limited to 3 minutes. This could go on all night long. We're going to do Vince in the last one, and that's it. We're hashing over the same thing over and over.
Okay.
So
Vince, go.
Yep.
Hi, this is Tim Long. Not Vince, I'm sorry. We're on the same computer.
Okay.
I'm just going to go back into the thing. It shouldn't even be that big of a discussion. You guys are condemning an entire town because of what a certain few people do. And in the same aspect, you guys are asking us not to condemn all police for what a certain few police do. But you're going to condemn an entire town and not let them use the bathrooms because some kids vandalized them in the past. These bathrooms used to be open all the time. When I was a kid, I lived right across the street from Crisfield. We used the bathrooms all the time. And for other people who said, you can just go home, what if you live below the tracks and you're going to Cribs? You're not going to walk home, which takes you 15 minutes just to go to the bathroom so you can walk 15 minutes back to the park so you can finish playing a sport that you were playing. It's just not feasible. I think that it should not be that big of a discussion. They're the bathrooms for the community. They're owned by the community. You guys should find a way, clean them, have them open. Thank you. That's the rest of my time. I'm done.
Thank you.
Okay. What do you want to do?
Who else?
There's no hands up. As far as the chat or the Q&A, I think we.
All right, no more hands up.
No.
I make a motion that the meeting be adjourned.
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Matlin. Are there any questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Meeting is adjourned.
All right, so sorry I was on mute, but I just don't understand what we do with all these chats that are here.
So a lot of them are from anonymous attendees. I don't know. I mean, in a normal meeting, we'd have a sign-in sheet for everyone who was commenting. And I think a lot of them were duplicated in the verbal questions.
And quite honestly, this is supposed to be a business meeting, and we're supposed to conduct business.
This is not a workshop meeting.
The answer should be at the workshop, not this one. And that's why I think we got to go back and really take some time and discuss
the meeting.
Yep.
I mean, Mike, I have no problem with comments or questions, but I think we've provided a forum to ask them, live verbally. So I don't think that we need. This is just my opinion. I don't think that we need to respond to every single.
Yeah,
comment.
I wonder.
No, I think we're saying the same thing. I get right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I wonder if we could ask. I don't know. There's two things. There's a chat and there's a
meeting.
The meeting's adjourned.
Yeah, the meeting's adjourned, so we could talk if you want to answer those people.
No, I just wanted to suggest it's actually distracting to have these chats and Q&As on here and trying to keep up with them. I wonder if we could ask people to just state their comments verbally, because I want to hear from people. Personally, that's my thing. I think it's important for people to have an opportunity to ask questions or make their comments. But I can't do both. I can't follow the Q&A, follow the chat, and listen to the reports and listen to the people. It's too much. So maybe I don't know, Craig wants us to do the next meeting in person. I have a thought about how that could happen following social distancing guidelines, and I'd be happy to work on that for the 30th if you guys will let me.
I'm all for having it in person. I don't see why.
I agree.
So, I think, well, I have a plan in my head. I think it'll work very easily. And Craig keeps telling me North Huntington always had their meetings in person. I don't know that that's the right answer either, but, but then I don't know how do we make it a hybrid meeting so that people can also stay home who have young children and things like that.
Well, you have a few days on it for the next week or so.
Pardon me?
Work on it for the next, we have 3 weeks till the next meeting. So
Right.
we, powers to be can work on that in the next 3 weeks.
Well, I'm asking for the opportunity to work on it. I have an idea in my head of how it can work.
You're vice president, just run with it. I mean, I think everybody's in agreement.
Okay, then, yeah, I don't know how to draw it up in an email. That's the only thing. I can draw it up on a piece of paper and take a picture of it and send it to you guys. So I'll be happy to work on that, but I think we can make it happen.
All right.
All
I'm
right.
going to sign off.
Okay,
Grandkids
I'm
are here
shutting it
from
down. Thanks, everybody.